In our April video, we went electric with the Traveler and installed a line driver so that we could control the Traveler from the helm station, better for short-handed sailing. And BioTrek was launched after a long winter in New England. In this video, we take our first trip across Narragansett Bay, and we prepare for departure for our Atlantic trip down south. Okay, so I'm going to confess, this isn't really a sailing video. We just motored to the other side of the bay because we wanted to be in a marina where there's a great rigger to just check our rigging and help Pierre tweak everything, especially the reefing system, before we take off. And being in the open, clean water allowed us to test our water maker before we take off for the Atlantic Ocean. I'm making this video before we leave tomorrow. This video is also going to show some last-minute improvements before we go sailing. But first, let's go back to our trip over to Cowesett. So we're following our friend Alex, who's picking up a new boat. He picked up a new boat.
In La Rochelle.
In La Rochelle. And we're following him on Predict Wind. And he was talking about a monster storm that's coming. And there it is. Yeah. But they should be able to get around the point of Portugal before then.
And go and hide.
Yeah.
If he has to. And then after that, it's just going to go straight down to the Canaries. Be ready to bring his boat back to Antigua.
We wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun.
Okay, so what we're doing today is feeding wires for the new hot water heater.
On demand.
It's an on-demand hot water heater. There's Pierre feeding the wires. We just wiggled it down from the nav station. The reason to have it on demand is because we only have one hot water tank and it's over on the port side. And so when we have guests needing hot water for a shower, you can go through an awful lot of fresh water. And it's going to be fed from the hot water tank, correct, Pierre? So that it'll only work until the hot water gets to this side, and then it'll turn off, which will save electricity. And this is where we installed it. It's not really in the way of the steps, as you can see. Another improvement on BioTrek. And so these heavy wires can come off the boat, and that great box is full of wires. So we'll sort through and only get what we need. I'm starting with provisioning. So we have food in the fridge finally. These are our fridges. Getting some food in the fridge. Getting ready to go. I'm going to get rid of those water bottles. We'll be drinking our own RO water. And in the meantime, with dock water, we have this. And I like to put all things into plastic jars. Where are you going to put the hole in the floor?
Just under the steps here.
Oh, so it won't show?
No. The only thing that is going to show is the two red pipes that I'm getting up and then back down. Red pipe coming from the other hull to this water heater and then back to the clarinet.
Yeah, so the clarinet.
So,
can you open the floorboard to show the clarinet? We showed it on our winterizing, but the clarinet is, we think it's a fabulous water system that Outremer does on all their boats, where you've got the hot, you can see the cold and the hot, the pipe's different color, all labeled, and this is all for the starboard side, and we have a clarinet on the port side.
And they communicate with each other through a crossblade.
Yes, they communicate.
So, for example, if you're using the right water tank, which is at the back there, with the pump in the engine room, so the water goes from the tank to the pump, from the pump to this clarinet, coming from the and then it goes from here to the crossbleed cold, to the other side, the port side crossbeak load. It goes from the crossbeak cold on the port side up to the hot water tank. And then it goes from the hot water tank back to the crossbleed warm on the port side. Then it goes from the crossbleed warm on the other side to the crossbleed warm on this side. And then it goes from the crossbleed warm on this side to everything on this hull.
That's why it takes a long time to get hot water, including in the galley. And I usually just heat up water on the stove because it takes so long.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the crossbleed coming from the other hull to this hull. And I'm going to connect it to the hot demand water heater, and hot demand water heater back to the crossbleed here, to the clarinet, and that will distribute this on demand to this whole hull here. So anybody that has for hot water on this hull will be going to the on demand hot water that will heat up the water until the water on the other side is warm enough that it stops working.
I think it's brilliant.
I installed a different circuit, the 50 amp circuit, on our 3 inverters in parallel. That 50 amp breaker with a GFI, both, are going to be feeding that wire that we just pulled to power the on-demand water heater.
So galley is ready to go. So we're all ready. We're leaving tomorrow. Our next video, I'll introduce you to our friends who you met on a previous video. They're coming with us, and we're going to be sailing probably a week at sea, and we'll also show you our destination on the next video. Until then, everybody, please stay safe.